Well, hello and welcome back to the big show. It's good to see you guys again. It's been about a week. I missed you. I missed you guys, everybody on YouTube and also those watching right now on Facebook. Welcome back to another episode of the Big Show, hosted by me, Jimmy Smith, alongside of me always as my buddy. What in the world? I just saw. What in the world are you doing?
I thought we were celebrating.
We are live right now. I was going through my intro and I look over at my good friend Dwayne Ward, and it looks like he has. What does it say? Happy anniversary? Birthday?
Happy birthday! It's Dad Talk Today's 4-year anniversary today. I thought we worked that out. We're going to sell. Okay, guess not.
No, let's do it. Yeah, let's give a very special happy birthday or happy anniversary, whatever you want to call it, to Eric Carroll, the host and author of Dad Talk Today. Today is the 4-year anniversary of Dad Talk Today. Awesome job, Eric. I mean, the guy went from nobody watching to just about 1 million followers when you add up all the followers from his social media platforms. So, I mean, that's a really hard feat. I mean, that's a long ways to go in just 4 years. So,
a lot of hard work.
All the people that he's helped.
Yeah, he has helped a lot of people.
He really has.
The support group going out across the country, 42-ish states, 55 states.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can say it out loud and be funny about that because a past president had said that. Anyway, but yeah, 42 states, thousands of miles, who knows how many talks. He's talked, I think, pretty much everybody on the topic of equal share
really
parenting.
Famous people, politicians, athletes. He's branching off and doing some movie filming now and all kinds of stuff. So I mean, it's a really, and of course he helped start the Big Show podcast, which Dwayne and I are doing right now. But and speaking of which, the Big Show is a podcast where, in case you guys don't know, we discuss modern day issues like men's health and masculinity, the hard truth about dating, and just what makes a man a man. So we're really fortunate and blessed to have a platform here on Dad Talk Today. And on behalf of everybody watching across the country, Eric, thank you for doing what you do, and great job and happy anniversary. So,
and I just wanted to ask, maybe as far as the topic of today's show, this is not.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Did you see the topic yet? Did you see what it was about?
I did see that. Now I'm rethinking my wardrobe choice there. Things that make a man masculine.
The little pink tiara may not fit in today's podcast of what makes a man masculine. So Dwayne, what I've noticed over the last few years in the manosphere is there's been a ton of talk about masculinity. In the red pill spaces on the manosphere, everyone seems to be talking about it. And I have seen a change or a shift in the dynamics of, what men are doing, what they're saying, how they're feeling. Men by nature, we don't really express our feelings, our thoughts, and our emotions all that much. When we grow up from being boys into men, we're oftentimes taught to suppress our emotions and suck it up, rub some dirt on it, and things like that. And, the outcome is that when we get into a social media type of world, like we lived in for the last 15 or 20 years, in the beginning, I'd say, let's call it 15 years ago, a lot of silence from the men, right? Yeah. And what we've seen is these masculinity words being thrown out, and oftentimes they're thrown out in a negative connotation.
Yeah, prefix with toxic
in front of it, right? And so what these guys who are growing up right now in their teenage years and in their 20s, they are almost chastised. They're almost like made to feel that being a masculine man, being an independent man, a leader of the household, is something that you should not strive to be. Right. You should just be more feminine, in touch with your emotions and things like that. And I'll tell you guys, I'm going to be straightforward with you right now. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. It doesn't exist. It's just another keyword, kind of like an assault weapon. There's no such thing as that either. It's just a stupid phrase made by stupid people to get stupid things done in America. And there's only the masculine and there's only the feminine. And you usually will fall or lean more towards one or the other. but not in all cases. There's a lot of masculine men that may possess or say some things that are feminine and vice versa, right? But for the most part, masculinity has been looked at as something that's been toxic. And think about what the word actually means, toxic. Toxic means poisonous.
Yeah.
Really what it means.
Destruction, right? And killing, and
detrimental, unhealthy. What there's a lot of synonyms for that word toxic, and it gets thrown around a lot in conversation with that masculine thing. And here's what I have noticed, because I'm in touch with the streets. I'm where the rubber meets the road. I get a chance to talk to these men and talk to these women outside of a social media platform where they're more likely to be honest. And you want to know what I hear from the ladies a lot? Where are all the masculine men at?
Where the men are. Yep.
Where's the real men at? And they're not talking about men who are putting on mascara. They're not talking about men who are wearing dresses. And they're not talking about men who are limp-wristed and things like that. They're talking about men that they can stand next to, stand beside, stand behind, that can take leadership, take charge, make decisions. Men that have built the world that we live in. The type of men that whenever houses catch on fire, those men go rushing into it. When, Lord have mercy, hopefully it never happens, but if another country invades our country, those toxic men that you so easily put down are the same toxic men that you'll be staring at going, hey, what are you going to do about this?
Yeah, you're going to go do this, right?
Yeah, because in times of chaos, it's always been this toxic masculinity that's come to save the day, and it always will be. And so what I wanted to do today, this show is really for everybody, of course, but I'm really talking to the 25 and under crowd today. Although men in their 30s and men in their 40s and above, you guys absolutely can take a lot of these nuggets. Most men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, they kind of wrote the book to this masculinity thing, right? None of this is really going to surprise them. They may not experience or do all the traits that we talk about today, but they do a lot of them. But it's really my 30 and under crowd, man, my 30 and under dudes that I work a lot of one-on-one with, that I have to get them to stop watching porn, get them to stop playing as many video games, get them to be a little more ambitious, get up and do some push-ups kind of a thing. And, this is really for you guys. And what I want to do today, Dwayne, is I really want to talk about, and before I begin, I really want to share exactly how I kind of come up with the things that I'm talking about. And it's been a lot of years of research, a lot of years of studies, a lot of years of putting this stuff together. And by no means are the things that I'm talking about today the only things that make men masculine. There are a number of things that can make a man masculine, but they are the reoccurring things that I hear often from men and from women that they want in men that will make a man more masculine. And they fall into really one of three categories.
Okay.
They fall into one of three categories, and those categories are characteristic traits, they are behavior traits, and they are your appearance. Those are the three things, the three umbrellas, if you will, that you really need to make sure that you get dialed in on all three fronts in order to be truly perceived as a masculine man. So let me give you guys some examples of what I mean, right? So when we talk about character traits of masculine man, masculinity, if you will, what I'm talking about is things like Dwayne right here. Like he is he's the epitome of masculinity. Look at
feel the virility coming out of me.
Radiates from him.
Just radiates.
Yeah,
I pull this off. There's nothing there. It's all good.
I mean, his masculinity is so overwhelming. It's actually becoming toxic to me right now. Yeah. But some of the character traits, and this is not all of them, just throwing out a couple character traits of masculinity, are men who are interested in things a little more than they are emotions. Courage would be a character trait of masculinity, and of course independence, things like that. Behavioral traits that would make a man masculine would be working towards reaching your goals, being disciplined, right? Having some sort of protectiveness around with the people and the community that you live in. And when it comes to the third umbrella, which is appearance, I'm referring to your size, your strength, your clothes, the things that make people look at them and go, upon first gaze, that man that walks through the door has this aura about him. He commands a presence, if you will. So what I want to do, guys, is I want to dive into these things more specifically, the character traits, the behavior traits, and of course, appearance. And again, a little forethought here. These are not the only three things, right? There are many, but these are the reoccurring things that many studies show that women are looking for and men are striving to become or to do. One of the things that I want to talk about first is the character traits. Now, character traits is a pretty tricky one because, initially your appearance will dictate if others perceive you as masculine.
Right.
But once people get to know you, Dwayne, the most important thing that makes a man masculine will be his character.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So here are some key differences between the feminine and the masculine character. Okay. When you talk about masculine character, these are men, again, who are more interested in things and abstract concepts over their feelings, over their emotions.
Right.
They have to be hyper focused on things. Female or the feminine are more interested in people than they are things. They're more interested in empathy and sharing and things like that. That's more of the feminine, but more of the masculine is being interested in abstract concepts or things over emotions. Also, courage is one of them. You really can't be a masculine man if you lack courage. When you think about some of the most masculine men that you guys may know, not only in your personal life, but let's talk about the masculine men that we all might know together on TV. Name a few that pop out in your mind right now.
Well, I think of a scenario, Titanic. I mean, that is a chick flick. Women love that movie.
Yep.
Who were you rooting for? Were you rooting for Jack, who like kept fighting for his woman and getting it done, or were you the rich guy that cowered and was afraid to get on the lifeboat and who were the women who made him swoon?
That's right.
That's just a kind of a great easy example of a movie that I know a lot of women have watched and owned and love. Yeah. They love Jack and how he how he didn't come for money. He was an honest guy. He had a lot of character and he fought for his woman. He was always trying to do the right thing.
100%. And Jack wasn't a guy who was a very big man in stature. He wasn't a very physically strong man, but he exhibited a lot of masculinity traits in the protectiveness, in the want and desire to help people, and just doing that kind of stuff. And also, to your point, Dwayne, whenever that ship started to go down and sink, who were the first people on the lifeboats?
Oh, women and children. Yeah, it was a thought. I mean, they didn't really even have to say it. They just, women and children only. And it was just a given. And I'm sure of that time period, every guy there was like, yeah, that's
exactly right. And let me share something else that every guy in that time period and on that boat thought too. Fear. They were afraid. They didn't want to die. Ladies, if you're listening to this right now, trust me when I say we're not jumping at the chance to die. Okay. Yeah. But men have what's called duty, honor. Those are masculine traits. When things get real, like the ship that you're on in the Antarctic waters, hitting a big old ice block, and the whole thing's going down, and it's only a matter of time before everyone's in or under the water.
Right.
We're not exactly wanting to go down with the ship, but our duty and our protectiveness to our children and to the women don't allow us to be the first ones jumping on the lifeboat while Mrs. Marianne Walker doesn't have room on the lifeboat. Every one of them men met their demise that day, and they did it with honor and dignity. And 100 years later, we are still talking about those men on a podcast called The Big Show.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what would happen if, that the Titanic would have happened now, if a 20s to 30-year-old somethings were on that ship today and the same thing happened, what would they have done besides tweeting it out to everybody and insta snapping it and make, oh, look at me, oh, I'm going down on the ship, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just been interesting to see, and that's like, I like to do those what if scenarios of history. What would have happened had
what I think would happen? What I think would happen? Have you ever watched Seinfeld?
Oh yeah, love Seinfeld.
Do you remember the episode where George? I don't remember what he was doing, but George visited a birthday party, and there was Bozo the Clown there, and he was talking to Bozo the Clown, and then there ended up being a fire, and everyone was screaming, and George busted through all the kids and the women to get to the door first, and he was the first one out.
That would have happened.
Yeah. That would be probably 10 to 30% of the men on the boat if the Titanic happened in today's world. And you want to know what the masculine men would do or how they would feel against them? They would look at him with utter shame.
Oh, yeah.
Disgust.
Well,
we would look at him with disgust and shame.
Yeah, they let the rich guy onto the boat, and he's just, cowering, and the other guy is the officer or whatever is just looking at him like, you piece of garbage.
Yep.
You still let him do it, but you piece of garbage. Yeah. And that's a shame he will have for the rest of his life.
That's right. And, that is one thing that many men, they would rather die than experience that is shame. When you look at the Asian, Japanese, right?
Oh, yeah.
They will fall on a sword, not metaphorically, literally. If their family was shamed, if they did something dishonorable, that is masculinity. Masculinity also means independence. It means strength. Masculinity looks like leadership. It looks like protectiveness. It looks like competition or competitiveness. It looks like ambition. Masculine traits are confidence and productiveness, self-control, and also generosity. When you look at things that are in the feminine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things that are in the feminine traits would be things like the opposite, things like being gentle, kind-hearted, soft, nurturing, graceful, compassionate, sensitive, and empathetic. I'm not saying that if a man's empathetic or is sensitive that he's not masculine. I'm showing you guys what the difference is between one and the other. I think most people most men would like to think that they're a large line share of masculine traits and a small hint or smidget of some feminine. Probably that's probably all of us to some degree. But for the most part, or for those that are listening that are kind of wondering what category grace would be put in or what category softness or nurturing would be put in, that would be put in more of the feminine category. You would be more in your feminine as a man if you were a man that was very empathetic, and you would be more in your masculine if you had more, I don't know, competitiveness or protectiveness or courage or leadership.
Well, here's one. Saving Private Ryan. I'm assuming you've seen that movie.
Great movie. Classic.
Hupham. Yeah, Hupham. At the very beginning, very feminine-ish. We'll just, he's very, doesn't, he's a writer and doesn't want to get involved. He even let some of his guys get killed. But at the end, he, stood up. But he felt that shame of letting his friends die, but he knew he had to get it done. He finally rose to the challenge. But, the guys that stormed Normandy, I mean, they weren't worried about their feelings. They were obviously scared as can be, but they had that sense of duty, and they're like, we have got to do this. And they did it. That's how it got done. If we had a bunch of namby-pamby sitting around, they'd be, crying, whatever, sitting on the little boat getting shot up, and nothing would have happened.
Yeah.
We'd be all speaking German right now, but different topic.
That's true. That's true. Speaking of masculine, let me show you the most masculine man around right there. Look at him.
Okay, Rich, hero and a half show Massa. All right.
He's too cool to even say hello. It's just yo.
Did he own a Toyota?
No.
Did he have like the yo? Okay.
No.
No, we did the yo thing from Toyota. Okay.
He had like an Acura and the Durango, Richie, the Durango. Oh yeah, we have some stories in the Durango. But that just kind of, that's Richie in a nutshell right there with his Italian background. It's just simple, yo.
That's how guys talk anyway.
Exactly. So, guys, those are some of the characteristics of the masculine. So, when you're looking at things, or you're wondering about what things, you should be paying attention to, or what, traits should you be leaning more towards if you want to be more in your masculine, that would be it. Moving on to things that are a little more challenging, things that are harder to do, would be your behavior traits. Because behaviors take a while to put in place, sometimes decades, sometimes in your entire
lifetime.
Sometimes you never get there, and life gets you there for you.
Someone call that karma. Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes life is the best teacher around, and you go through something that is tough, something that maybe you did not deserve, or something that maybe you did deserve. But nonetheless, to Dwayne's point, karma is one biatch. And it will check your shit pretty quickly, depending on the situation.
I'll say a lot of people that tune into either this show or the Dad Talk today can tell you all about karma. Not that they caused it, but they are living experiences that they wouldn't wish on their worst enemy.
Yeah, 100%. Even our avid listener Ben, check this out. Ben says, "Hey, Dad Talk 100% helped me get through my battles by understanding what's really going on." We appreciate the feedback, Ben, and it's guys like you that we're really trying to reach out to, man. We know you guys are going through it. Jeff over here, we're over here telling some jokes. Jeff's dead over here.
Yeah, he's dead. Actually, sidebar, I got a thank you card from one of our listeners for the stuff that I did with Pissed Off Parent. He was thanking me. Yeah, and you know what? I don't do it for the accolades, but it is nice to get something in the mail, or just a thank you or whatever. And I would say reach out to Eric or whichever advocate you're hanging out with or whatever, and give them thank you for doing what they do, because getting this stuff out, it's not expensive, it's not cheap. It takes a lot of time, and it's often thankless. People fight back at you, and every time we talk about this stuff, we're bringing our own trauma back into it.
Yeah,
I mean, you've had trauma. Every time you talk about certain things, I'm sure that in the back of your head, it kind of kicks it off. So there's a lot of real estate being spent to that. So I would, reach out to your favorite advocate and give them a, hey man, or girl, bending. Thank you for doing stuff.
Yeah. And I appreciate you guys letting Dwayne and letting Eric know how much they mean to you guys, because they've been doing this for a very long time. They put a lot of work into it. And
a decade. I've been divorced for a decade. I've been doing it that long.
Yeah.
10 years.
And you guys would probably be surprised how many times or how many hours that Dwayne and Eric and I behind the scenes get together. Whether that's getting together. I mean, we're all, the three of us are on a group text, and it's probably a daily occurrence where we're kind of sharing what's going on in our lives. And there's times where Dwayne's going through it and times that I'm going through it, and we're there to help him. We're there to help Eric. Both those guys have been there to help me. And, guys, I've oftentimes said that it's challenging to be a man in many ways. And one of the ways is that men have to go through so much in life, but they really don't have an open forum to share their feelings or share their thoughts, because again, it's perceived as weakness.
Right.
But you can't go through life like a kettle with no venting to let the steam out. You really need to be surrounding yourself around other men. I don't care if you buy a video game and you get online and you talk to the same 3 or 4 guys every Thursday when it's freaking whatever night.
Yeah.
And heck, Dwayne, what Dwayne's doing right now is he's basically going, look, that's kind of what we do. We all get together literally with a headset on. I got my headset right over here, and
I mean, and that is therapy. I mean, we get to ask questions.
I've taken the batteries out of my headset because I can't be bothered to run out of batteries while I'm killing the zombies.
Gotta have that,
and I can't let Dwayne kill more than me. So come on.
Yeah, and then you got to ask. I mean, and when you have your friends around, you can ask them questions. Actually, I have one. You may or not be able to help, but this is one that's been burning me for a while. So when bald people wash their faces, how high do they go up? It's just been one of those questions I've always wondered.
The answer is all the way to the back of your neck. All the way. Yeah. You see, you start at the hair here and you end at the hair on your back. That's kind of
okay.
It's basically hair to hair. Yeah. It's the same.
Mystery solved.
The real estate, the acreage is just bigger. That's all. That's all.
Gotcha. Hey.
I literally had someone ask me, like they literally asked, do bald people shampoo their hair? And if so, why do they shampoo their hair? So
like head and shoulders, or
well, I just like, because women, it was a girl and they always with the shampoo conditioner. Right. So they were like, do bald people even need to shampoo their hair? And I'm like, well, I just rock and roll with the 3-in-1 body wash. There's all
you're not an Axe guy, right?
No.
Oh, thank God.
No.
That should be on the not masculine.
Yeah. I'm not a Chad, buddy. Right. So. All right, but all right. So let's go to the comment section. Jeff's got a question. He says, if you exhibit equal parts of empathy and competitiveness, what do you call that? Well, that's a good question. I will say this though, Jeff. It's I don't really know that you have a word to call that out, because those two things are actually two different things, right? So empathy is kind of like sympathy, right? But empathy really leans more towards the female, and sympathy, I think, is really more the large lion's share of guys will have more sympathy. And just so you guys understand what that means, the difference between empathy and sympathy, it's basically when someone's going through something, okay, and you are relating to them, like, man, I know how that feels. I went through divorce myself. Man, I know how that feels. I had to go through a custody battle myself. Or, hey, man, I know how that feels to lose someone that you love. I've lost someone myself. It's the ability to relate and feel bad for them. Empathy is different. Empathy is whenever you hear someone talk about something and you actually feel the pain that they go through. So empathy is actually feeling their pain, and sympathy is understanding their pain, right? So females tend to be a little bit more empathetic than males do, because females put a lot of they have a lot of emotional intelligence. And I would say that the healthier long-term way to go about it is to be more sympathetic than empathetic, because empathy will drain you. Ask any of our female sisters, leaving some of these conversations, they actually feel drained. Why? Because they actually are. They've had to express that internal emotion. Now, competitiveness is what we all know it to be, right? It's the pursuit of winning. It's the competition between men. So if you exhibit, a lot of, let's say, sympathy, and you're also competitive, I think that makes a pretty good stand-up dude, to be honest, because I think everybody appreciates and respects a man who is competitive, but we don't want a guy who is arrogant and cocky and cold to the people around him. You want to be around people who will, have a good, honest, friendly competition, but they honestly, truly care about your well-being and your success along with it.
Well, it's like martial arts. Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, I mean, literally thinking the same thing.
I remember a tournament, and I nailed this guy. And you're supposed to turn around and kneel down and not look at the opponent. But I kind of went over there for a second to make sure it was okay. It was a legal shot. It wasn't like underhanded or whatever. Yeah. Make sure it was okay, and then make sure he was breathing. Went over there and did my thing. But if I would have done something underhanded or whatever, that would be bad. But or you knock somebody down, or you beat them and you go over there and shake their hand, or it's that healthy competitiveness.
That's right.
You're doing stuff.
And let me give you an example of unhealthy competitiveness, and how whenever someone's down, they just keep kicking and kicking and kicking. The unsatiable appetite this man has to just belittle me. Richie, I don't appreciate that, Richie. Okay, shame on you. You should be ashamed of your disgusting behavior. But he can drop some knowledge. He says masculinity is putting your duty above your feelings. 100%. So But let's jump into before we move into the behavioral traits. If you guys are enjoying the big show today and you guys are getting something from it, hit that like button if you guys don't mind. Like, share, subscribe to the Dad Talk channel. Guys, if you guys want to see Dad Talk live for a long, long time and another 4 prosperous years, just support the page by simply liking and sharing. Also, if you know someone who could use a little bit of knowledge on how to become more masculine or what it means to be masculine, don't be afraid to share this with that person. Share the link to this video, send them to it, because it helps the algorithms and, of course, the growth of the channel. But I want to talk now into the second of the third traits, and that's the behavior traits, right? So behavior is obviously related to character traits, but it's not 100% the same. You see, because character is more macro and behavior is more micro. So while your character influences your actions, you still have free will and you still can choose to do things that don't come naturally to you. So that being said, let's go over some actions that are masculine most of the time. And again, these are not the only ones. There are plenty more, but these are some of the top ways for you to be masculine when it comes to your behavioral traits. Number 1, working to reach your goals.
Yeah.
That could possibly be one of the most important. A masculine man is a goal-oriented man.
Right.
And he is working hard to achieve the goals that he set for himself. There isn't much going to stop this guy. He's going to keep on working to reach to where this guy wants to go, wants to go. And this means that you have a vision, you plan appropriately, and that you are in constant pursuit of the goals that you set for yourself. And when talking with women, it is very, very common to hear women label ambition as something that they find very attractive in men.
Oh, yeah.
And this is because women are very concerned about a man's future. If you think about it, right? Most women are wanting a man to lead the household. So in a sense, she's kind of betting on a horse to win here. And your unbridled ambition shows her that you're a safer and a less risky bet than the man without any ambition at all.
I got a question on that. So why is it so a woman's attracted to a man's ambition and then she, gets the guy that has the ambition, and then, not all, but women generally want to destroy that ambition. And I'm going to throw one of the great movies that kind of depicts this is 50 Shades of Grey. I'm assuming everyone's seen it, like it, love it, hate it, whatever. Everyone knows the premise. So, and of course, again, if had Mr. Grey been in a, mobile home park or something, that he would have never got the girl. He had to be a multi-billionaire. But after she got this ambitious guy, which is what she was attracted to, then she's like, well, you're not spending enough time with me. You need to put my needs above your. I mean, this guy works his butt off, and then she comes around and says, you don't spend enough time with me. You need to do that. And again, I know it's the grander scheme, but trying to get the idea in everyone's head. Why do women, generally speaking, do that?
Well,
it's annoying.
And that's a fair point. It is. And it's very unlogical as well, because, women are very much in their emotions. And I don't mean any disrespect towards women at all, but let's just call it for what it is. I'm an honest person, so I'm just going to be honest. Okay.
Yeah.
Women have a hard time making very good long-term decisions, and they have a hard time. A lot choosing the right men, because women will choose the guy that, other men know that he's not going to be faithful to her. He's not going to be supportive of her, but she'll choose him anyways because of how he makes her feel. And a lot of times women will choose men or not choose men because they're too nice. And the nice guy, they can be walked on or ran over. And women do not want to, like, they'll say they want to, have some control, but when they have control or they're leading the household, they're very unhappy.
How many people, put in the comments, knows of somebody, and this is probably going to go dark really quick, but the girl got with a guy who was already in a relationship or married or whatever, and then as far as this is your long-term good decisions, and then they're shocked when the guy cheats on them with somebody else.
Yeah.
Like they're honestly upset.
And that's the simplest answer. I mean, it sounds absurd. Like when you say it out loud, it sounds absurd. And I think both men and women are like, that sounds dumb. But so many women actually do that. And the reason why is because they run their logic through their emotions. Women are, I hate to use the word slave of their emotions, but it's the best way to put it. They really are slaves to their emotions, because the idea or what that guy can actually offer her, she cares less about than how that man makes her feel.
Yeah.
So that man who's married is giving her the boyfriend experience, the attention she wants, all the above, like everything she's looking for. I mean, he's perfect. Well, except for that one darn thing that he's married, right? Yeah. I mean, besides that, he's perfect, right? And, I think that a lot of women, and I've said this to many women whenever I'm counseling them, I say this in fun and in jest, but I'm mostly being honest and just slightly, whatever, is the biggest downfall for women is a 4-letter word, HOPE, hope. Hope has been the killer and the destroyer of women for a very long time. She's hoping that he sees the light. She's hoping that he changes. She's hoping that he will get better. She's hoping that he'll stop drinking. She's hoping that he'll see that he's hurting her and change. Hope, hope, hope. And how many times has hope come to fruition to where that man figured out what was going on and he did it all by himself? It's a very small amount. It's a very small amount. When fathers and brothers vetted women's men back in the early 1900s and well beyond for hundreds of years prior, those women were worth those men for 50, 60 years. Look at our grandparents. Look at our grandparents.
Did something right.
They're doing something right. So I'm not saying that women can't make decisions, and I'm not saying that some of them can lead the household. I mean, look, you live the life you want to live. All I'm saying is this, okay? It's a very small, minute percentage of women who are head of their households and are happy. How many households can you guys think of right now where a woman is in charge of her household and it's a beautiful, well-oiled machine? I can't think of any.
And the data supports it. That's the other thing too. I mean, if you're going, oh God, Jimmy, you're blah, whatever words you want to use, look at all the data. Go to pissedoffparent.com. It's all there. It 100% supports all the data. If you don't believe it, turn on the news.
Yeah,
I rest my case.
And that's why I was talking about, it's common to hear women that are very interested in a man's ambition, because if what we're saying is right and women really do want a competent and confident man to lead, then she's really kind of betting on this guy's future, unless he's already a self-made man, right? So if he's a build-a-boo and she's going up the ranks with him, then she's got to gamble on this man's future. She's betting on that horse to win, and that man's ambition is going to show her that he is a safer or less risky bet than the guy who may not have any ambition at all.
Right.
So women also understand, whether that's consciously or subconsciously, women understand that they benefit from the success of her man. And they also understand that she also is affected by the failure of that man as well. So a man who is goal-oriented and hardworking is much more likely to be successful than a man who is content with his current job and plays video games all day long on his spare time. Video games are not the evil. Doesn't mean that he's not going to be successful. And if he's hardworking, doesn't mean he's going to own a business one day.
Yeah.
I'm just going off of probabilities. So just like men will go down in looks to go up in cooperation, a woman will go down in income to go up in ambition.
Yeah.
Because there's similarities in both of those parties, and the similarity is that both people can work with that. A woman can work with a man if he's got ambition. A man can work with a woman if she's cooperative. They can work with that. So look, guys, if you are actively working towards your destination, You will be perceived as more masculine and attractive than those who are not. Period. So find out your passion, put a plan in place, and work towards that goal one step at a time. Going back to the comment section with Richie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Him and I don't know how many times, I'd say 2-3 times a week, him and I work and talk on the phone, and it's often about our future. He's telling me about his business. He's telling me about this and that. We're brainstorming. There is no complacency with a friend like that. He's one of the most ambitious men that I know. And he is always striving and always pushing. And we've been doing this for, 20 years. One of the indicators, it's a fun little way of doing it, is we talk about how much money we made that year. Yeah. And so I will say, okay, I made X this year. He goes, oh, I beat you by $5,000 this year. I made more than you. And then I'm striving to get my income up, and he's striving to get his income up. And, it's just been a friendly competition over the last 20 years. And I don't think I would be where I'm at if I didn't have guys and a friendly competition, guys who hold me accountable the way that Richie holds me accountable. So having like-minded people and having people who want more for themselves is extremely important to have. You don't want to be, look, if you're over the age of 25 and you got friends that are smoking weed, doing drugs, hanging out and things like that, you're going to struggle, man.
Collecting Transformers. Yeah.
We're working on Dwayne.
It's a long. So that's one of the behaviors, though, is to having competitiveness, the desire to achieve. That's one of those behaviors.
Yeah.
That women will look for in a man.
Yep.
What are some of the other behaviors like?
Another one that is extremely important, and it's probably even more important than ambition, because ambition will take you only so far, is discipline. Discipline is a part of masculinity. Anyone can come up with a plan to achieve something great. Anyone can be motivated to do something hard, but motivation can only take a person so far. Motivation is like a shower. It must be done daily. When motivation is gone and the pump me up videos on YouTube are all watched,
right,
what's left is your discipline.
So you got that body overnight.
It did not happen overnight, man.
Would you say that would be discipline?
Anything that someone can achieve in this world that's great, that's valuable, that's rare, it comes with discipline. It does. Right. If you want to have good kids that are contributing members to society, you're going to have to be a disciplined parent. If you want to have financial success and security, you're going to have to be financially disciplined. If you want to build your wellness, your fitness, again, discipline, right? So it's just so important, because anyone can make that plan, but how many can actually stick with it? Getting to the gym every day, going to work on time, being consistent, etc. Look, women love a man that they can count on. So if you're disciplined, you can be counted on. Richie, I'm going to be talking about, we probably should have just brought his ass on the show, but since he's in the comment section, let me go ahead and point towards him again. He mentioned something on a podcast of ours a few months ago, and he was talking about fitness, because if you guys don't know who Rich Massa is, he's a very famous and well-known personal trainer in the Orlando, Florida market. And he said that he was talking about why it's so important to have good fitness. And he made a very good point. He says, because whenever I walk in the room, people can see my discipline. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I don't have to open my mouth. Whenever someone with a good level of fitness walks into the room and you admire that lady's physique or you admire that man's physique, you can literally see that person's discipline. On the flip side, if they are grossly or morbidly overweight or obese, not you're not morbidly overweight, but if you are,
but I'm trying.
You're trying. You just need a discipline, buddy.
I'm 1 12-pack of donuts away.
But on the flip side, if someone's overweight, look, if you guys are out there in cyberland right now and you are not happy with your physique because you are overweight, let me give you a slap in the face of reality. People can see your lack of discipline everywhere you go. Man or woman, they can see your lack of discipline. And do you think that bleeds into the job market? It does. Do you think people treat you differently? They do. I don't have to go on to the studies. You guys have probably noticed them, that the studies show that more attractive, more in shape people, fitter people, they get more opportunities. I would be very unlikely to do business. I mean, hardcore business where this person has to come through for me or I am in big trouble with someone who is grossly overweight. Why? Because they don't have the discipline that's probably needed to do something. And, when you walk into someone's car, you get into their vehicle and there's trash everywhere. Come on. How you live your day to day shows a lot about you. Now, we all know that it's not directly related. If you're out of shape, it doesn't mean you're an undisciplined person in the workforce, and vice versa. Fair enough. There's some very in shape people that are trash in the business. We know that, but we're not talking about the exception. We're talking about the rule. When people are in shape and they're able to do what's needed to be in good shape, because we all know you can be in fantastic shape and it could all be gone in 4 months of you just doing the wrong things. So you're doing it for a long, long time on a consistent basis. The likeliness of you doing all the other things in life right are very high. Okay. You might say that discipline's a character trait. I would tell you, but I would contest that because, while some people might naturally be more disciplined than others, a big part of discipline can be learned. A lot of people who were very undisciplined have learned discipline over the years. Granted, sometimes they learn it on their own. And to the point Dwayne and I talked about a few minutes later, sometimes life teaches you that discipline for you.
It does.
Right? I mean, how many times have we seen someone go through something, whether they were shamed, maybe he approached a woman and she broke his heart, told him, get away from me, you ain't my type. Something awful happened. Maybe that person went to the doctor and the doctor says, buddy, look, you're dangerously close to needing a surgery. You're dangerously close to being type 2 diabetic. And then that wake-up call, I don't want to have to give myself insulin shots for the rest of my life. For goodness sake, I'm 40. I don't want to give myself insulin shots for the rest of my life. I've got to make a change because the pain of knowing you have to be on medication for the rest of your life to keep yourself alive now has become more painful than the pain of going to the damn gym.
Right.
Sometimes the pain of change has to exceed the pain of staying the same. So life has a way of teaching you that discipline sometimes. And discipline can be very uncomfortable. It can, especially when you're starting something new. It's the behavior of repeating something for many times, and that eventually builds what we call a habit. Discipline is something that you don't want to do, but you do it anyways. Guys, do you think I really want to wake up early in the morning and go to the gym? Yeah. I don't. Do you think I want to meal prep after the podcast today? Because that's what I'll be doing all night is meal prepping for the week. I don't. I don't want to eat any more chicken and rice.
They didn't miss you?
I eat 60 eggs a week for the protein. 60.
Sometimes.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Except the other day. That's an inside joke. He knows the other inside joke. You know what? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the picture. Let me tell you what I did. Okay, I go to Sam's Club the other day, and I'm getting the food to do this meal prepping, and I buy like 10 dozen eggs at Sam's Club, and you know how they come in, like you take them out of the box and they come in like this little flimsy cardboard thing with all the eggs in it. I put the first one on there, and then I go
keyword flimsy.
Yeah, I put the first one on the shelf, right? And then you got to take the other one and turn it the opposite way for them to fit in the other, right? And so I I already had 3 stacked up. So I decided I'm going to grab 3. I'm going to put them on top. Well, I grabbed it from the back and the damn thing broke in half. And I dumped 5 dozen eggs down the refrigerator.
Don't count your eggs before you make them or something.
I was cleaning up egg yolk for an hour, and my house
Joke's on you.
Yeah, I had to pull the refrigerator. You know what? I'm just gonna. Yeah, that's where Dwayne's going with this.
Behavior. Let's get back to behavior. Sorry, I'm taking you way off track here. Behavior.
Yeah, I was losing my behavior the other day when all that happened. I'm like, what? But guys, here's what I want you to do. Okay, when you think about masculinity and you think about discipline, this is what I want you to do. Ask yourself this: what are the things that you do that you're disciplined at? What are the things that you wish you were more disciplined in? Would those things that you wish that you were more disciplined in, would they greatly benefit your life? Then ask yourself, if the answer is yes, then ask yourself, what's stopping you from doing it then? Okay. And if the only answer you can honestly think of is, well, myself, I'm the one that stopped me from doing it. Well, then if that's the case, there isn't any excuse other than laziness. And you aren't lazy, are you? Come on. Are you lazy? No, you're not lazy. So you got to get out there and you got to do something. Well, the third thing that makes a masculine man, as far as the characteristics go, is protectiveness. That is often something that exudes masculinity, the will to protect your loved ones from danger, even if it might hurt you.
Right.
Mothers will do this to defend their children, but that's usually where it stops, right? Most mothers should do this with. Dwayne's like,
there's a famous video. I wish I would have known that one because I could have pulled it up here, but it shows a ball coming to hit some kid, and it shows all the women like ducking out of the way, and only the man stuck his hand out to stop the baseball or the bat, I think it was, from hitting the kid.
The little overweight kid was on his phone.
I think that was it. Yeah. Like, all the women were like,
and the dad reaches over. Yeah.
Puts himself in harm's way. Yeah.
It sure does, right? I mean, so, most of the times mothers are going to defend their children, and, that's usually where they stop. It's not that this isn't important, but she's not planning on protecting you. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Even if she would, or even if she could, she wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do as well of a job protecting you from physical harm than you could do.
Right.
So this responsibility really lies on the men. In addition to protecting their family, masculine men often have the will to protect others that they perceive to be under their umbrella of protection. And this might be partners. It could be children that are not theirs, close friends, combat buddies, things like that. Dwayne and I talked about if we were ever out and Dwayne wasn't there, and Brandy, who is Dwayne's wife, was standing there next to me, and someone, crosses Brandy in a bad way or tries to do her harm, I would protect Brandy as though Brandy was my woman, because, Dwayne would do the same thing for my girl if I wasn't around. So
the outcome would be different though, because I'm so old and out of shape, I'd get my ass kicked, but I'd be there. It happened.
But Dwayne would give it the old college try.
I'd talk him to death. I would make jokes. I'd do a tap dance or something.
And so, these masculine men, they don't just protect their wife and their children. They oftentimes protect the people that they love. And it could be partners or combat buddies, friends, other people's children, things like that, just like the Titanic scenario that Dwayne was talking about. Protectiveness goes beyond physical protection, however. Ways in which masculine men protect their women are things like this. So ladies, if you're listening right now and you're wondering if the man that you chose is a masculine man, I want you to listen to what I'm going to rattle off here. And if any of it sounds familiar, then this is a man's way outside of physically protecting you. This is other ways that men protect the women that they love, other than the obvious, which is to fight other people. Okay. Right. If your man is happy to be your moral support, he's protecting you. If he calms your fears, if he takes you to the doctor because of your anxiety, if he encourages you to take a self-defense class, that's him showing that he wants to protect you, because one of his fears is that someone that he loves gets harmed when he's not around to protect them.
Right.
He doesn't like when you are walking alone at night. He says things like, hey, text me when you're there.
He doesn't want you to go to the club.
Doesn't want you to go to the club because he wants to protect you. You know, if your man asks you, hey, text me and let me know when you make it there on okay or safe and sound, that's him showing that he's protecting you. He makes sure that your car starts before he leaves. Mm-hmm. He's aware of his surroundings. He calls you an Uber if you need one. He shows emotional strength whenever you need it. His arm is around your waist when you guys are walking through crowds. He's leading you when you're beside him. Those are some ways other than the obvious physical ways that men protect their women. He takes care of you when you're sick. These are things that if you notice that your man is doing these things, it's an expression of protectiveness and love.
He tells you no.
Hey, that's a very good point.
I want to go on a trip. I want to blow our savings account on goofy crap. I want to blah, blah, blah. You insert whatever. And he goes, no, because he knows that the financial security of the family, or, both of you, is women derive a lot of their safety and security from being financially taken care of, or have that financial blanket, whatever we want to call it. And, if she's like, I want to go blow my money on whatever, and he says, no, it's not, because he wants to tell you no most of the time, but unless it's completely insane, but because he's like, look, we've got to spend our money on this, or we've got to save it for the, incoming issues we're all going to be having here pretty soon. When guys, want to protect the women, and we do it in ways that this is going to get me in a whole lot of trouble. And these are not the views specifically stated by Jimmy. Is that a lot of times women act like children. They like, well, I want it now. I want to get it now. And I'm only doing anything stupid in order to get it. And the guy's like, no, we're not going to put this on layaway. We're not going to charge debt. We're not going to, spend our money here, because we've got to be prepared for the future. And just like a little kid, they don't get it. They want the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip now.
Right. That's true.
And they don't get it. I know it sounds, everyone's going to be like, oh my God, that's you. But that's the truth. That's cold, hard facts.
100% the truth. And ladies, I know, we don't know how it is to be a woman, and you guys don't know how it is to be a man, but let me kind of share with you a little bit into the heart of men. And I'm going to talk right about what Dwayne was just talking about. And every man listening to this right now is going to nod and go, he's
every guy's going,
yes. That. Because when you are a man, the burdens of the responsibility are very, very much oppressive, because everybody wants it now. Think about being a man, right? Everybody expects everything from you, and they're not expecting it tomorrow. They want it now.
Right.
The kids want their stuff now. The wife wants her stuff now.
Yep.
His employer wants the stuff now. Everybody is expecting this man to give him everything he is all right now. And he has to be able to balance all that. And sometimes you have to say no, because you can't give everyone what they want at all times.
Right.
So it's not him being oppressive or having a dictatorship. It's this man strategizing to make sure that he can give to those who need, but not drown while he does it. How do I balance all this stress and all this expectation of me? You do it by moderation. You do it by planning, forethinking, because the world all wants it now. The kids, the wife, the job, everybody wants it now. The grass has got to be cut now. Right now, I mean, you want to know what Dwayne was doing before he jumped on the podcast? He was fixing the AC system for the last five hours. And you want to know what he was doing yesterday? He was hanging something on the roof, and he may look like he's in good physical form right now. Let me tell you something. This guy could not do a jumping jack right now because his back is really hurting from all the work he's done. And why is that? Because the AC has to be fixed now. And then what happens at 6 p.m.? Jimmy needs Dwayne on the show now, right? And then whenever the show's over, something else is going to be pulling at him.
I got work actually. Yeah, I have work to do. There's all these competing things, and it's like guys all the time. I mean, I wake up, and I'm hoping this is echoed by other people. I wake up every morning. I'm 51 years old, and I'm like, how am I going to retire? How am I going to make sure my family's taken care of? I've told Brandy a number of times, and she knows this, is that, our house, we have X number of, bedrooms. And I'm like, I can't really sell the house, because if all of our kids and extended family members, if something were to happen to them, I want them to have a safe place that they can come back to. Jimmy, do you have a safe space you can go to? Do you have anyone you can call if the world ends?
I don't. Hands right now. You're looking at my safety net right now.
Right. This is it right here. Yeah. Men don't have we don't have a daddy or a whoever to call to help us. We have to do it on our own. That's what we have to do every single day. When I get to retirement age and I've got to make a decision between Alpo and a cheeseburger, probably a bad analogy, but I've got to make sure, because if I would have told everybody yes all these years, and then we get to this point, they're going to look at me and I'm going to go, well, you wanted to go on the trip. You wanted to get a new car. You wanted to, go off to whatever. And you wanted to buy this and this and this and this and this. We don't have anything. How do you think that's going to work over?
And you want to know what? They all forgot why the money was spent, and they don't care. All they care is about the outcome. They want it now. Yeah.
Yeah, every day. I mean, I don't know about the comment if you think I'm crazy in the section here, but as far as this guy, I don't know about, maybe I'm OCD, I don't know, but every day I wake up and think, the first thought that hits my head, and I'm not, exaggerating, every morning when my eyes open up, I go, how am I going to retire? I know exactly how much money I've got, where it is, how I'm going to do this. And I know how many years I got hopefully left in my working life. How am I going to pull it off? And that is how I live my life every single day.
Guys, we want to know what you think. If you think that we're on to something, tell us in the chat. If you think that we're off, I want to hear those comments too. What do you guys think? Are you on board with a lot of things that we're saying right now? Do you feel a little differently? Brandy actually chimed in. She says he walks closest to the street. Oh, she's talking about some of the characteristics of being protective.
And what's funny is Brandy, I'm not her first love. Hopefully I'm her last. But her first husband, who passed away, he was not we would call a manly man. We'll just leave it there. And when she met me, there were a lot of things that and this is her talking, not me trying to, but her talking. There was a lot of stuff she had to learn about being around a man. Things like that, opening the car door, how the house is structured, the discipline, saying no. Hey, I want to go do this. Well, you enjoy having the light bill paid every month, don't you? Well, we can't go out and do this. That's how here's the finances. Here's how this works. Here's how my brain works. If we have a disagreement, this is how we argue as adults. This is how a man handles his business when we're talking. You don't get to act like a whatever. Not saying she did, but setting the ground rules, having that discipline, and having that atmosphere over the house. There's a lot of things that she has admitted. She's like, I had to learn this stuff. I had never really been around a man that did things, especially the way I do things.
Yeah.
And, again, we got people things that, that they hear, I'm a woman hater, blah, blah. I'm not, but, I have a traditional man, woman. We have our roles. And it's a fun, great time. And I would love to get her on here one of these days to talk to the women that hate on guys like you and me and others. And they could listen to how a woman who is under this patriarchy, how she, lives her life. Speaking for,
I would actually like to hear Brandy's take on, how she felt when she was dealing with that man years ago compared to how she feels now, that she has a man that kind of steps up and does more. I have a feeling that she probably feels a little more safer and in her falling into her feminine now than she probably had to back then. She probably had to be a little bit more into her masculine because she had to pick up the weight of what he's not carrying, is my guess. But I don't want to speak for her. I would, we should bring her on one day and we'll ask her. But let's go over the final one. So we've talked already about characteristics. We've talked about behavior, traits of being the masculine. And the last one is your appearance. And I don't know, there might be some people who It seems like I'm all alone now. But, I know that this one here kind of hits home a little bit. But I'll tell you what, this one right here is extremely important, because whether you like it or not, your appearance is the thing that people will judge you on when the first time they ever see you. First impressions are very important. And it might seem a little superficial, but your appearance will absolutely influence how people react to you and how they treat you. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's what it is.
The way it is. Oh, well, to kind of jump off again, this is how I work from home. This is how I go to the office: shorts and a t-shirt. And people, when they meet me, they think I'm one way. And then I open my mouth and they go, "Oh my God!" Not trying to brag here, but I've got some letters after my name. I've got a background. I know how to
know your stuff.
I know some stuff. Yeah, I know. And I can get things done. And they sit there and they go, "Oh my God, I never knew." And then they start listening to me over time. Whereas when they first met me, they're like, "This guy seemed like an idiot, like some old fart that hobbles around, doesn't know what he's talking about." But then when they find out, because they'll say something like, "Oh yeah, I need to do whatever," and I'm like, "Oh yeah," and I rattle off whatever. I'm like, "This is how you do it. Hey, if you want, I'll come over Tuesday and we'll knock it out." And they're like, "You know how to do that?" Yeah, actually, funny as one of the first things with Brandy and I, our sink went out. And I'm like, "All right, well, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and solder that, and get the new one here, get that done. I gotta, sweat some pipe there and do this." And she's just looking at me like, "What the hell are you talking about? We got to call somebody." I'm like, "No, you don't. You just put the." I mean, again, I'm sure you've done it. It's second nature. And she's like, "Oh my God," she had no idea, because I'm a plumber. I got the plumber butt, but I'm a plumber. Or I can sit down and code for 12 hours or whatever that is. But yeah, first impressions and how you carry yourself and how you look, people make assumptions. When when you walk in the room, you told a story or two, you command attention. That's how you look, and then you open your mouth, and people make decisions based on what you say or don't say or whatever, and it goes from there. Yeah,
it's true, guys. If you're okay with your masculinity and you don't want to improve it anymore, then this is really not for you. But for those of you who wouldn't mind making a better impression or a better first impression, or if you're out there on the dating market and you want to set yourself aside from all the other men in competition with you, appearance is where it's at. Because if you
well, in all fairness, okay, any girls on here, maybe my wife, who knows, but which guy would you go, "I'm swiping right"? Yeah, right is the good one, right? Left is the bad one. I don't remember.
Yeah, right's the good one. Right's the good one.
Okay, who would you swipe right on? Honestly, you saw these two pictures and some BS at the bottom. Who? I mean, I'm masculine enough to know that I wouldn't be it. It's obvious. It is obvious who that person would be. And then if you got to know me and him, then you'd still pick Jimmy. But you're like, "This guy is way too much of a nerd." Oh no. But seriously, I mean, physical appearances. I mean, you're 6'7", 8, 9, 12, 6'6". I'm 5'10", 5'11" on a great day before my back got messed up. Yeah, so I got the 6 footy thing. I haven't missed a meal or two. You got the V shape. You have. I mean, there's definitely different. I mean, I was never auditioned for Magic Mike. Let's just go ahead and leave it there. So, or dealt with that. But yeah, I wasn't at the whatever places and all that. But yeah, who? If you're trying to in the dating market, who would you swipe right on? Honestly, I mean, come on.
I appreciate the compliment. I do, my friend. And I tell you guys, I don't do anything that you guys cannot do. The only thing that separates me from some of you guys is just my discipline. I've been doing it for a very long time, and I do it every single day. Whenever I go out, I look good, because when you feel you look good, you feel better about yourself, and people's reaction to you will be more positive. Mm-hmm. So that will, in return, make you more confident. Yeah. It's your appearance is something that helps a lot on your journey to becoming more masculine. Yeah. And although, in my opinion, character and behavior are more important in the long run, right, but appearance is an easier place to start where you can see the quickest results. Character and behavior are going to take a while. Appearance, you can do that in very, very short time. So let's dive into the appearance. Which parts of your appearance can make you more masculine? In short, 3 things: size, strength, and clothes. Those were always on the top of the list when it comes to appearance, right, when women were polled. Okay. So let's dive into each one a little deeper. Okay. Let's talk about the size. Now, the average man is bigger than the average woman, right? So if you are over 6 foot tall and you're 200 pounds, you're likely going to be perceived as more masculine than let's say if you're 5'4" and 125 pounds. Okay. Right. At least on first impression, you're going to appear that way. And that's what I'm referring to. Appearance is about first impression. As soon as you open your mouth, all of that could go flying right out the window. So you have to have the other two traits, which is why I said that I honestly think in the long run, those mean more important than appearance. But if you have those traits and your appearance is off, that affects the whole aura of you, the whole well-roundedness of it. So, let me give you guys a quick few tips on eating and training, okay? When it comes to having size, I'm referring to being muscular is what I'm talking about, okay? Dwayne and I have actually done a very good podcast. If you go back to episode 9 of The Big Show, we did one that's entitled Men's Health and Fitness. Mm-hmm. And we talk about, what are the first beginning steps of going into the gym? How many days a week should you be going? How many meals a day you should be eating? In short, if you can go 3 or 4 times a week for an hour a day, that's 3 or 4 hours a week. That's it, guys. There's 168 hours in a week. I'm asking you to give yourself 4. You can do it. Mm-hmm. The more challenging part is the food part, because that is all day long. And there are things that are going to take you off of your diet waiting for you at every corner. But, whenever someone sees someone who, has a good amount, and I'm referring to the women as well, amount of muscularity or toneness, people really do perceive them as something different. I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but whenever you look at, me, that's my sexy picture. I can wear a tank top and that I'm in fitness. I do a little bit of fitness, right?
Wait, I can wear one too. I got a little side boob showing, but I mean, some people find that attractive.
And when you set a dating profile up, out of the 3 of those pictures, you really want to use the one with the smile. You don't want to don't use this one, guys. The gym selfie, don't use that one for your dating profile. I just snapped that just because, I don't know. I just felt
like a gym coach in that one.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. But the one that gets a lot of like thumbs up and likes from the ladies is the one where I'm just casual, I'm smiling, and you can tell I got a little bit of tone on me. And the women say, okay, well, he's not grossly large like a bodybuilder, but the guy can hold his own.
You got to make that black and white. That's how I snagged Brandy.
That's right. It is how you snag Brandy.
That's how I got her. How I took her off the market, black and white photo.
That was a very good idea, actually.
If she was colorblind, I'd have her 100% fooled today.
So if you guys want to dive more into about the health and the wellness, check out episode 9, which is Men's Health and Fitness. Dwayne and I did a really good podcast on that. It was done maybe 4 months ago, things like that. The second one out of appearance is being strong. Now, besides your physical size, right? Being strong is something that makes people perceive you as more masculine. Health and Fitness did the Health and Fitness magazine did a study where researchers asked women to rate men based on their bodies, and the strongest dudes were thought to be the most attractive. So they would have these women looking at these pictures of guys, and you couldn't see their face. It was just neck down, right? Mm-hmm. They're wearing tank tops. But the men who were perceived as the strongest also